Hey everybody, Gisèle Grenier here. In this video lesson, I'm going to be showing you how to create what's called a dirty pour using acrylic paints and a pouring medium. Now there's a bunch of different recipes out there to make your own pouring medium. I'm going to use the DecoArt pouring medium because it's ready to go. It's proven to work. It's not going to break down. I don't have to fuss with ratios. I can use it just the way it is. Now there are ratios depending on whether you use fluid acrylics, craft acrylics, or thicker bodied acrylics. The fluid acrylics, you use 2-part paint to 1-part medium. The craft acrylic, which is what I'm going to use in this one, it's equal parts of paint to medium. And the heavy body paint, such as the DecoArt Americana premium acrylics, which is in the tubes, you can see those right behind me. It's 2 parts medium to 1-part paint, and then you mix that all up. It's ready to go. So what I've got is on my table, and I'm going to be doing something a little bit different in here. I'm not going to be actually doing a dirty pour on a canvas. I'm going to be doing it on freezer paper to create a skin. So a dirty pour is the idea of taking different colors of individual paints already with the medium, putting them into one container, then taking that container and pouring that onto your surface, and that creates a beautiful marbled effect. So I'm going to be using the DecoArt Americana. This is their premium acrylic paint, and the colors that I'm using, let me pour these out. Yeah, I've got the big containers now, so I don't have to waste, except I don't know why this one isn't in a bigger container. True blue, peacock teal, bright yellow, and titanium white. So you know, a challenge for me will be right off the bat is pigment numbers are not on these paints, so I'm having to eyeball what colors there are. Because we're mixing different colors together, you don't want mud, right? So in looking at the paints, white is white. This yellow, looking at this yellow, all I ask myself is, does this lean more towards green or does this lean more towards orange? And when I look at this, I'm thinking myself, this is more of a mid-range. It looks like it leans a little bit more towards orange. And the way to test that out is on a separate piece of paper, add a little bit of white, touch of the yellow to see, and that helps see the true underlying color. And then this peacock teal, super easy. Does this blue lean towards violet or does this blue lean towards green? And this one here, of course, leans towards green. That's an easier one. And let me just show you the pour here, and I'll give you the measurements that I'm using. And this blue, does it lean towards violet or does it lean towards green? This looks like it leans towards violet. So the only one that's going to be a bit of an off is going to be the yellow that looks like it leans towards orange, which is opposite the color wheel to the blue. So we'll see. So I've got these little measuring cups here, medicine measuring cups, and I'm putting in 2 drams, which looks like it's a quarter fluid ounce. And I'm going to lift that up just so I can see, and I'll pour that in. Okay, and I'm going to be looking for smaller squeeze bottles, or what I may do is just get the paint, these paints here in the smaller bottles, just keep pouring it in because I waste paint having to rub the top edge. I guess a funnel would have been a good idea. So I've got that in there. So now what I'm going to do is to each of these little paint containers is I'm going to add an equal part of the DecoArt pouring medium. And basically you stir it, and there's no bubbles. So I'm going to lift that up just so you can see. And I'm going to pour that in there. So I had 2 drams in there, so now I'm going to put it up to 4 drams. All right, so that's ready to go. Now to mix it up, I mean, you can use whatever you want, popsicle sticks, stir sticks, you can use kebab sticks. I like using my Royal Brush Aqualon brushes because they've got the acrylic handle, and I will just stir the heck out of this until everything is blended perfectly. You want to make sure you get it right into the corners. So these colors I chose because they lean naturally towards each other on the color wheel. So you've got yellow, then down the color wheel you've got yellow, green, green, blue, green, which is what this is, and then you've got your blue. So they're within the same area of the color wheel. So the colors will naturally go together, and then I've got the white. So now the idea is to take your paint, then pour it into the cup. And the results will be, you'll never get the same result because it's there's too many variables involved. How much of one color versus another color, how much you tilt the canvas, you know, how much paint you put in, the order that you put them in. There's so many different variables. So what I would like to think is that the very first color you put in there is what's going to be prominent at the top. And for that, I think I want it to be yellow. So I'm going to pour a little bit of yellow in here. I'm going to do a very small pour to start. Then I put a little bit of white. And you want to pour this nice and slow so you don't over mix what's in here. Then I'm going to put a little bit of the peacock teal. And then a little bit of the blue. I don't want to put too much blue. Then I put in a little bit more yellow. Now this is where things get messy. So if I'm putting on some gloves. If you're in the Hamilton area, Princess Auto has so many different varieties. Some that are latex free and just plastic and vinyl and all that other stuff. All right, so put those aside. Now what I'm going to do is, because I did such a small one, I'm going to do this on palette paper because we need to actually flip the piece. All right, so I'm going to take that, I'm going to put the palette paper on top and then flip everything over. Okay, and lift. This is a small one. I'm going to keep this as well. And then now I can turn around and tilt. You can see if I want to get rid of the yellow, I'll just tilt it this way so it'll be more of the blue. So the white really didn't show much. Same with the dark blue. There isn't a lot of the dark blue. If I want the dark blue to show, let's see if we can get something in here. Oh, look at that. So that's making green. Look at this. So you can create some really nice pieces. It just takes time. This takes time. You can see that this now, you'll never get the same one twice. You can use these skins, because once this dries, you peel it off and you can cut it and form it and do all that stuff. You can use those for other things. The one that I like the best is jewelry. Tilt, tilt, tilt. I see a whale. There's the eye. There's the mouth. And you basically keep going as far as this will take it. See, now it's starting to dry up on the edges. And I can also leave that tilted like this and it'll just keep going down really, really smooth. The environment that you're in will also have an impact on what your skin will look like. Okay, so that's that one. Put that aside. So I'm going to go to the same cup and let's go with a bit more yellow. I'm going to make this one a little bit bigger. And then I'm going to take some blue. I'm going to go with some white. This is thickened up a little bit. Then go with some teal. A bit more white. So you can see you can really change how you do things. And then a little bit more. Let's go with that now. A little bit more blue. Okay. All right. Take palette paper. Put that on top. Whoops! I crushed the cup. Flip. I crushed the cup. I can let that. I just scratched my nose. Did I get paint on my? No, I didn't. And I can let that sit for a bit and then just go pop. Now the colors are really getting to get dirty. And then tilt. So although you can do this on canvas, I want to make skins. I want to create the skins. And I'm using palette paper because they're easy to peel. Look at the cells starting to develop. All these nice, look like little microbes in the universe. Look at that. So I want, that looks like a face now. Let's see if I can get a chin. Let's go back. Let's get some more yellow in there. So I'm going to tilt it the other way. I really should have the camera facing this way. I love that. That is beautiful. Although a lot of this is all based on weighting. When I'm finished doing the tilting, this is not what it's going to look like tomorrow. Because it has its own little party when all the lights are out. Look at those cells. Oh, those are beautiful. One thing I've always wondered, because the paint thickens up, because right now another heat wave. The stuff in the cups is evaporating. What happens if you spray it with a little bit of water to thin the paint down? I can add medium. Look at that. Isn't that beautiful? Let's take some of this here and bring that down. So a dirty pour is taking your colors with the medium in the individual cups and then putting them into one cup and then doing that pour. Beautiful. Okay, I'm going to put that aside. Where? I have no idea. So the other thing that you can do is called a direct pour, and with that you can do there's a puddle pour and a direct pour. Now the puddle pour is you just pour the individual colors into the puddle, then you mix them around. A direct pour is that you choose where you're pouring. So they're both taking individual colors and pouring them onto your surface. One just going in the middle and one going wherever. So just go show you. So a puddle pour, put a little bit of blue, a little bit of teal, peacock teal, a little bit of that beautiful yellow, and then some of the white. Then from there I turn around and just mix that around. The blue is really thick. Looks like the Roadrunner. Let's see how far this will go. So let me pour a little bit more blue in there. Let's see what happens. What more interesting than that? Like I said, this is, you have to wonder, okay, is this really an art form? It's abstract. It's an abstract, but it by itself, I mean, they could be really interesting by themselves as jewelry, coasters, that type of thing. It's what else you can do with them. So if you do this on a canvas, you can create a painting on top of that. So think of these book of backgrounds. These would be amazing for book of backgrounds. Look at all that. And now the actual direct pour is if I take this and let's look at a star shape. And just put another one beside it. And another one on top. Then from there, you just turn it. I find that the puddle pour to me is the one that's the least interesting. The most interesting is the dirty pour. Then this direct pour, intentional pour. I find this one to be in the middle. I see a cat. There's a back. There's a paw, back of the cat. The nose, the ear, and we can round this out that he's wearing a hat. There we go. Where am I going to put this? I have no idea. Let's put that over here. Nope, can't put it. It's not flat. You have to put them on a flat surface. And the last one I'm going to do. So what I'm going to do, let's just see what happens when we add water. So I'm just going to take the stir. Whoa, stir and go right into the paint. Now what you can do with these things is that you just rinse them out, or just, when doing paint pouring, I do everything in one day to minimize the amount of waste. Now, I do not recommend doing this. So if you do this and you make a mess, not my problem. Whoa, I crushed the cup again. Jesus. I just flipped. What I'll do is I'll just put everything in here and put that on the palette paper over there. Move the brush. So now this really flows, and I want to get a massive skin out of this one, a really big skin. So you know, one idea that you can do is, what about if you use fabric paint and you create a paint pour on an apron or a t-shirt or gloves or something? It's like watching paint dry. Oh, yeah, that's exactly what it is. Here we go. That is absolutely perfect. You start seeing some of the cells developing in here. All right, now this is the worst part. You have to let it sit overnight or until dry. With the humidity that we have right now, we're getting close to, I'm thinking probably about 102 Fahrenheit outside. And we've only hit 11 o'clock. I am going to leave this till tomorrow to make sure it is 100% dry. Now, when you place it for drying, make sure you have a level surface. If you don't have a level surface, what's going to happen is the paint is going to go down to gravity, go down to the one part. What you can do is you can create a ridge like this, and then just tape it down with masking tape, and then the paint won't go any further than that. It'll pull up in the end. So that's one thing that you can do to avoid making a mess. What I like to do is the professional pours that I'm doing for my jewelry, I'm actually doing it in a Masterson's Stay Wet palette, which I've ripped apart. It's a Stay Wet palette that has a sheet of glass, and I do everything in there. That way the paint has nowhere to go. It creates a square or rectangle skin every single time. Alrighty, I'm going to go clean up, and I will see you guys tomorrow, and we'll see how these have changed. So we're back. I left it for about 2 days because of the heat that was going on. It took a little bit longer to have this stuff dry. Now, one of the things that I did notice is that one of the piece that I did where I added the extra water, it did make a difference. So let me show you what I've got. So these are all dry, so you can see that they don't look anything really like they do when they were wet. Okay, a lot of nice cells in this one. So basically now with the palette paper is that you just find, and I already pre-started these so I didn't have to fuss on camera. You just pull them off. The front side, okay, it looks different than the back side. It's nice and shiny, a bit of a matte finish, and you can do with these what you want. One nice thing to do with these is that you can create jewelry. You can wrap them around things, use them as embellishments for mixed media. I mean, there's a lot you can do with them. You can crumple them up to little balls to make texture. So it's, you're just limited by your own creativity. Now this one here, I thought was really interesting. And what I'm looking at when I see this is now, before it was a cat, which I can still sort of see the cat now, but I see like a nose, ears, the body, and then the tail. But now I also see a dress, a flowing dress. And this is her head. And although I don't like the spiky thing, but then this can be just her hair. So that's one thing. Let's peel the back off. You can see there's the star. So how I made that star in the beginning, that's what captured on there, because it's the first thing that comes in contact with the paper. And that's that side. So completely different. So you really can, get some nice patterns. This one here, I love the cells. Look at that. Now it's still not, the cell development wasn't what I was hoping it would be, and that has to do with the thickness of the paint. So it's a matter of now thinning down the paint even more, and or just going with the fluid acrylics when it's hot like this. This one's really pretty. I like that. I see a fish. And when I look at this, I can imagine being up in an airplane looking down the Caribbean and seeing all this water. But look at the difference from that to that. And finally, the big puppy here. So I want to do this after, but remember I was tapping the cup? I was able to get skins off that as well. Look at that. Isn't that cool? That is so neat. So I can use that as a collage piece for mixed media as well. This little piece here too, I tried to peel it off. It's a little too delicate. But yeah, you can use that for something. You just have to be careful that you actually use the pieces and don't hoard them. We're always looking, we create something so unique, or we have something that's, pricey or special, that we tend to wait for the perfect project to use it in. There's no such thing as the perfect project. It's what speaks to you, and if you look at it and you go, yeah, that would work, just go ahead and do it. Go with your first instinct. Otherwise, you're going to end up with a craft room or studio full of stuff that you haven't used in years. And don't say that you're not like that. Most of you have emailed me about storing your supplies. Okay, so what about a chicken? With a funny beak. A fish. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not quite sure with this one. Funny looking cow. I don't know. But again, front side, we have a little bit of cell development there. Love the marbling, and then the back side. So think of the skins again, that you can further use them. So if you're not really into doing the pours on canvases or whatever, do them on the skins, and then you can use the skins for something else. Again, the jewelry is a big thing. You can even take the jewelry with skins that are maybe not this one, but really thin ones. And if you think of maybe mounting this on something like a coaster and maybe pouring resin, or even the high gloss Duraclear varnish to really seal it, you can make coasters out of this stuff. Instead of a table tray, like a decoupage with a good layer of varnish, or even not triple thick, because triple thick isn't what I call outdoor uses, or even marine use, is that the varnish will withstand any of the elements. Triple thick is not. Triple thick is indoor use only, even though if you have a tray that you've decoupaged a skin on and you're going to use a tray for serving drinks, no, you can't use triple thick. You can use triple thick, but you need to put a polyurethane varnish on top of that, because drinks, condensation, spillage, and all that stuff. Hopefully that makes sense. If it doesn't make sense, let me know and I'll explain it a little bit better. Anyways, so to store these, I'm just going to put them in page protectors. I did another video on that just to basically show you. And I have an idea what I want to do with these. I'm going to be teaching a class, a formal portrait, an actual formal fine art portrait of Frida Kahlo, eyes open with the stare. But I'm going to be using the skins in a bit of a different way in that portrait. So I'm going to be mixing fine art and mixed media to combine them together. So I hope to see you in that class. Alrighty, information is below is for everything else, and I'd love to hear some of the ideas that you have for skins, so let me know below. And if you have any questions, again, let me know below. Alrighty, so until I see you in the next lesson, stay inspired.